Hi guys, thanks for tuning in today. Welcome back to the Cutline. This is the program where we go over the most recent edition of the Mvskoke Nation News, or the Mvskoke News as it's called. I did want to point out some things before we got into the June 15th edition of the paper. If you guys out there have relatives that are in the Lawton, Oiltown, Duncan, Empire City, Comanche, Waurika area of Oklahoma, there's some big storms and big tornadoes going through those areas right now. You might give them a call and check on them and make sure they're okay. Tonight's going to be crazy. There's tornadoes popping out all over the United States. There's some in Ohio. There's one in Michigan. They got them in Alabama. There's one coming in Florida. If you haven't been checking the weather, you might want to give it a look-see because, man, it's crazy. So with that being said, not to freak anybody out, but Okmulgee right now is okay. It looks like Norman's all right, but we'll see how it goes the rest of the evening. Tonight we're going to be talking about the June 15th issue of the paper. There is some stuff that I wanted to mention that was brought up in the Cutline. I think T.Y. Pearl was asking about a specific case that if we would look into it, Hooper versus the city of Tulsa. That's a case where a Choctaw citizen is fighting a traffic ticket that was issued by the city of Tulsa to him. And the update on that story is his case has made it to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. They just had oral arguments in March, but there hasn't been a decision issued from them yet. Once we get a decision out of the 10th Circuit, we're probably going to do a more detailed breakdown of that for you guys if you're interested. All right, so let me switch over to the paper here. So our headline story for this issue is State Legislature overrides Stitt's vetoes. One of the pieces of legislation that they override his veto on was the regalia bill that allows Native students to wear their regalia at graduation, which is a great deal. Below the fold on the front page, we have seniors stay active and connected at the Senior Games. The Senior Games is one of these things that's really gotten bigger every year that they have it. There's more participants, and it's really a cool thing. If you've never been to one, or if you're a senior and you want to stay active, you should go check it out. The results from those games are here. If you had a relative compete in them, hopefully their name's listed here. The other below-the-fold story on the front page is Mvskoke musician appears on Mvskoke radio. Winnie Cooper, I believe she's been on the radio program before where she did some, I think it was gospel songs, but this time she was on for her own work, so her original songs. And if you want to check that episode out, the Mvskoke Radio has a YouTube channel. It's if you look on our channel, it's an affiliate channel with us, and you can go from there and you could check out her music and what she has to say. If you read the newspaper story and you're like, I want to hear more from her. Page 2, Okmulgee County experiences overnight crime wave. This was a crazy story that happened in Okmulgee County, and it went for, I think it was like 24 or 48 hours or so, where a guy shot a police officer and went on the run. They had helicopters down here with searchlights. It was amazing. The complex had to go on badge access only, so that's an interesting story. You should check it out. And then we have the continuation of the results of the Senior Games over here. Community calendar stuff there. Let's see here. Mvskoke Fund hits big milestone. If you haven't ever checked out the Mvskoke Loan Fund, they have a nice website, and they're a program that basically they lend to Mvskoke citizens to help them get businesses off of the ground, etc., etc. So that's a really cool story there, and there's some good contact information. If you are a Mvskoke citizen out there and you want to try to get something going, and they're a good place to go for support. Let's keep going on down here. There's two big ads in this issue of the paper that were taken out by the election board with the precinct polling sites. and the locations of the, I think this is community centers here on this map. We got these ads from them, so we didn't have any control over the resolution of them. That's why they're a little bit fuzzy, but important information there. Page 4, Mvskoke Light Horse Police discover stolen property in hotel. This is another interesting crime story where the Light Horse went to enforce a protective order, and then they found some stolen sports memorabilia that turned into an even larger crime. So it's an interesting story. MCN Emergency Management has oversight of water projects. A total of $20 million will be used for water restoration. So this is a big thing on the reservation, is a lot of these rural towns, their water systems are all antiquated. And what this details is kind of like the Creek Nation's going to start helping out with those types of restoration of those water systems. Head Start program holds graduation ceremony. There you got Second Chief Beaver and some great students there from the Head Start program. And if you don't know what the Head Start program is, it's a great program where Native students can come, or pre-K type students can come in, and they teach them the language and a lot of cool stuff. So we have our council coverage for this period. The cut line here, or the nut graph here, is legislation on new MCN Department of Humanities on hold. So that hasn't passed yet. So there's a couple of interesting legislations here, so check that out if you're interested in keeping up on what's going to be passed at the council meeting. MCN departments partnered together for a job fair. So this story is MCN Transit and the MCN Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program got together to try to offer some jobs to veterans and elders and people in the access so they can get back on their feet. It's a really cool story, so you should check it out. On the other side of the page here, we have a press release from the Native American Journalists Association. They're going to have some votes coming up, and one of them is they're going to have a vote on changing the name of the Native American Journalists Association. I'm not for sure let's see here if it says what the new name that they're debating. I believe the new name is, Native American and First Indigenous Journalists Association or something. I'm not sure on that. And then they're also calling for candidates to serve on the board of directors for the Native American Journalists Association. So if you want to get involved in the Native American Journalists Association, you can contact them. On page 6, we have a story about the spring celebration and how the turnout for that is really exploding. It's a good story. A story about the Bad Press documentary. That's the documentary about the fight for free press at the Mvskoke Creek Nation. It premiered internationally at the Millennium Docs Festival in Poland, which is an interesting story because it shows the perspective of journalists in other countries that are also fighting for free press. So, and it was Angel Ellis's first trip to Europe as well. So there's some interesting anecdotes there. The page, where are we at? Page 7. Ongoing legal coverage updates. This is basically the newspaper version of the story that I published a couple of weeks ago on our YouTube channel. So if you've already watched that video, you got the gist here. It's basically catching up on cases that don't have any major developments, but that we're watching as they unfold, and then also an update on Bacon's status. We have some accomplishments and obituaries. There's the schedule of events for the festival here. And then the legals, and at the bottom here, we're hiring. So we have a reporter position open right now, as well as a graphic designer position open here. So if you're interested, you can apply there at the mvskokenation.com/jobs. If you guys have any questions about any of the stories that we just showed on from the paper there, just pop them into the chat. But other than that, let's see. And if you're in the chat there, TY Prol, I have an update on Hooper versus City of Tulsa. Just shout out and I'll let you know what it is. Stories that are, or what's coming up in the next coming weeks with the channel. Let me look at the calendar here. So next week, I should mention, if you didn't catch our video from earlier in the day, the Supreme Court issued its decisions in the Holland versus Brackeen case today, which is the ICWA case before them. They upheld ICWA in that case. And they also issued their decision in the I'm gonna mispronounce the. Let me see here. I got to read this off a piece of paper. They issued their decision in the Lac de Flambeau Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians versus Cutline. That was a case where that particular tribe had a payday loan business, where a gentleman, Cutline, took out a payday loan, and then he later declared bankruptcy, and the tribe was trying to collect their loan debts and their fees after he had declared bankruptcy, and that's a violation of the United States Bankruptcy Code. But so they were saying that because they have sovereign immunity, they don't have to follow that code. The Supreme Court ruled that they are subject to the bankruptcy code and that they couldn't do that. So those are the two major decisions for Native that came out today at the Supreme Court. I don't see any questions popping up there in the chat, and since there are so many big storms and tornadoes coming through Oklahoma, I'm just going to jump out here today, guys, and with that being said, in the coming weeks, next week we have a live wire on Wednesday with a group that is putting a boarding school database online where you can search and find out if your relatives were in a boarding school, which is interesting. Friday the 23rd is the next hearing in the Friedman trial about a motion that was posted. The 24th and the 25th is Creek Festival, so, if you're in Oklahoma or if you're not, you still got time to get here to go to the festival. It's going to be crazy. They did announce the entertainment on the festival's Facebook page and the Mvskoke Creek Nation Facebook page, so you can go check those guys out. I'm not really familiar myself with the musical acts that were posted there, but I can't tell you whether I've never heard either of them. But you guys can go check that out. The 27th, we have a live wire with Dr. Hugh Foley. He's a guy, we had him on last year where he did some research about Muskogee hymns. He's coming on the program again because he was instrumental in getting the Res Dogs TV show to shoot some episodes on the RSU campus. So we're going to hear that whole story and see what's going on with that. In July, there's some things that I'm still scheduling at this point, but we've got some live wires coming up. And I want to remind everybody right before I get out of here that July 17th through the 19th is a candidate filing period. So after that, we will start scheduling the candidate live streams where each candidate comes through a meeting, through the chat, and you can ask your questions of the candidate. So keep your eyes out for that stuff because it's going to be scheduled in the next couple of months. With that being said, I want to tell everybody Mado and stay safe out there and keep your eye on the sky because there's tornadoes all over the place. See ya.